We present an image space algorithm to calculate plausible responses for interactions between virtual objects, such as the blue ball, and virtual representations of real objects, such as the user's hands. To do this, the system needs to handle when the two objects intersect. The first step is to detect when a virtual object intersects the virtual representation of a real object. Now, the real object is represented by its visual hull volume derived from views from multiple cameras. We are interested if any part of the virtual object surface lies inside any visual hull. To test this, each triangle on the virtual object surface is volume queried in its own viewport against the visual hull. Volume querying uses graphics hardware to sample each triangle primitive and tests each point for inclusion within the visual hull. The sample points of the virtual object within the visual hull are called collision points. If the simulation requires information to resolve the interpenetration, the system can provide a plausible response to the collision. Since the system cannot backtrack real objects, and there is no real object tracking information, the algorithm first estimates points of first contact on both objects, then generates a vector and distance to back out the virtual object. Finally, it computes a visual hull surface normal. From the set of collision points, the one farthest from the virtual object's reference point, usually its center, is labeled the point of collision on the virtual object. Our goal is to move this point onto collision. To do this, we volume query a triangle along the recovery vector. This vector is from the virtual object collision point to the virtual object reference point. It is searched to find the visual hull boundary. We move the virtual object collision point to the visual hull collision point. To find the visual hull normal, additional surface points are searched for during the volume querying stage. The normal is calculated from these surface points. Here, the algorithm is applied in conjunction with a cloth simulation system. We applied this system to an abstracted assembly layout task. The goal here was given two payloads, to determine how much space was required between them to place a pipe down the center shaft of one of the payloads, and then plug the wire into a connector at the bottom of the center shaft. 4 NASA payload designers participated. They were given task information and asked to estimate the space needed. They then tried out the task in the hybrid system, which signaled collisions with the payload models by flashing the payloads red. But when they tried to connect the wire to the connector, they found that they required a tool to assist them. But this caused the required space between the payloads to increase. The payload designers later remarked that being able to identify integration issues such as this one could result in savings of hundreds of thousands of dollars and weeks in delays. We are optimistic that hybrid environments provide a useful means for design evaluation while using the actual assembly personnel, tools, and parts.